Well, welcome back, everyone, to episode 29. Can you believe it, Darren? Episode 29 of our Leadership Nuggets. So if you haven't checked out some of the other ones, have a look below at some of the past episodes, short 5-minute skill pills that you can use. But you probably noticed something, that Darren is not in his usual position. Darren, what's happening? Where are you? What are you doing?
Thanks, Andre. I am in Maroubra in Australia. I'm not too far away from you. And I'm here for predominantly my son graduating, finished his PhD. And so what I thought I'd do today is I've had the chance to see some friends and hear the commencement speech at his session. And so I wanted to share a couple of my lessons learned in my couple of weeks here in Australia so far. And, I think that's one of the things that you and I talk about a lot is the beauty of this journey that we are on is the opportunity to pull and grab and learn from so many things as we go along. And so I'll kind of start in reverse order with the commencement speech at my son's at the university on a couple of days ago. And the chancellor was giving his advice, as they do. And what he really was emphasizing, first of all, to all the graduates, but particularly this handful of PhD students in the, got his PhD in pure math, so in the science faculty. And he was saying, as you go forward, what you've done through the past several years of your education, you've gone very narrow. By design, and particularly by the time you get to your PhD, often you're looking at one very small element of your given field. And that's really good, and that's how you develop a certain amount of skills. But now as you go into life, what he really encouraged them to do is stop going narrow, go broad, right? Really get a fully encompassed life, but fully encompassed with your knowledge and your education. And don't get stuck on just the kind of this narrow path, is expand your horizons, if you will. And I thought it was just really, really good advice because, so many times in our careers, as we start in life, we're really, really good at something. And then we tend to hold on to that and we can go very deep with that. And so to, expand those horizons is really, really important.
Darren, that's such an interesting story and it's a powerful metaphor for leadership, if you like. I'm a photographer. I like taking photographs. I used to have a fandangly amazing camera. Now I just use my iPhone. But the interesting thing that I learned is knowing which lens to use.
Yeah.
Right. So sometimes the narrow focus that the chancellor talked about is really putting on a macro lens so you can look in detail at a bee or a fly and its antenna and all those sorts of things. There are other times when you need to put a wide angle lens on to get the entire landscape. And other times you may want to focus at something in the distance and you might put a zoom or a telephoto lens on. Now, the leadership lesson that the chancellor is sharing is, as leaders, as we develop, is knowing which lens that we need to put on based on what landscape we're confronted with or what image we want to focus in on. Each one is appropriate. There's no right or wrong. Each one is appropriate, but contextually, can't say that. Contextually right, in terms of what leaders need to do to adapt.
Absolutely. And that's this idea we've talked about a couple of times of leadership acumen. That's what leadership acumen is. That's one of those elements, is what lens do I use now? And that sometimes is kind of those hard-earned yards, if you will, as you go through. And sometimes it's going to micro when you should have gone macro, or reverse of that. And, I'll often share when I'm coaching someone is that, hierarchically our organizations go like this, fewer and fewer roles and get narrow in terms of the number of roles. But in those roles, your knowledge has to go like that. right? It expands. You have to have a broader understanding of the business, broader understanding of the market often. And so that is getting that unique dynamic of being able to, switch those lenses out, right? As you see a professional photographer, or sometimes it's a filter, sometimes it's something else. And so it is, whether it's leadership, quote unquote, in an organization, or it's in your life with your family, that ability to go narrow and to go broad and to go narrow and broad and mid and so on is a really, really important skill. I think the underpinning of that often is your emotional resilience, your ability to do that, right? If you're in fight or flight, it's really easy to get locked in to one of those lenses. But if you've got some emotional resilience there, it's a lot easier to intellectually, but certainly emotionally change that as well.
Yeah. And I think that switch that we need to use, and it's got to be used very often, it becomes critical in that adaptability and fluidity that you as leaders need to make, depending on, as you say, as you go up or as you focus down, because there's nothing more irritating than working for a leader who is narrow focused inappropriately. The old micromanager, which is so debilitating because they just don't give you any freedom. It's all so much narrow focused. Or the other extreme is to a leader who abandons everyone and says, go forth and do good.
Yeah, you got it.
So what am I doing here? So I think that ability to switch based on the context, switch lenses, as I say, or switch focus becomes really, really critical.
Absolutely.
So I think the real lesson for all of you watching here is to start thinking about what are the times that you need to maybe improve your switching. The switch that you use when you might have been too narrow when you should have been broad, or vice versa. Because as we go through, as you said, Darren, as we go through life, appropriateness is often a key to successful connection, relationship, and success generally.
Absolutely. Yeah. So have fun today switching some lenses. And again, just really, as much as the world will tend to focus us, we'll talk a little bit later about algorithms in an upcoming episode, but our algorithms cause us to go narrow. Really important that we continue to help ourselves to go more broadly and have a greater experience of life.
Subscribe to our channel for what Darren talked about. Upcoming episodes on algorithms and other gems that he has. Okay, please subscribe. Please share this with everyone that you think might find this useful. Thank you.
Thanks, Andre.